Good morning, Academy 55. David Cohen here on Friday, the 5th of September 2025, looking at the EUR USD on the 1 minute time frame. Maybe looking for a possible trade on with our indicators at Academy 55 and using the indicators and strategy to point out a possible trade for us. Well, what can we see at the moment? Well, we are right in the middle of nothing. Basically, sideways movement, but we won't let that deter us. What we'll do instead is we will have a look at the higher time frames to see if we can sort of deduce some sort of action, what's maybe going on in the longer term. So we'll remove the indicators and we'll go on to the daily time frame. And we're on the daily time frame, and on the daily time frame, we can see that the trend line that we tentatively drew for ourselves following it going down and down, down. We'll follow that down just a smidge there. It was broken, but sort of, we'll get rid of this line here because that's nothing. That's an old zone. And we can see not a great deal from the daily chart. It's too big for us really. Can't deduce too much from it. But today, so far, we are going up. And usually, like I say, I can point this better out on the 4-hourly actually. So we'll go down to the 4-hourly. And we can see here, we've got this old imbalance on this portion of the candle from way back Tuesday. Still hasn't been filled. Are they going to tap into that now and then come back down again? This imbalance had this old imbalance here from this candle has been filled. It was filled at 10 o'clock last night. So we'll remove that one so as not to confuse anything. But we've got imbalances here now on the 4-hourly candle. But we've got this old imbalance here now that needs to be filled. Will they do it now while they're going up? Could be. They intend to tap into it like they did on these two previous occasions and then come back down again, or is there's enough, or if the dollar shows weakness and the euro shows strength, might have enough to carry on up, but causing imbalances here as we go. So let's see if there's any changes into line charts. See if there's any points of interest. Well, there isn't any really. Oh, I guess, yeah, say that. Here is a point of interest. We got 1 point there, 2 points there. So this is an area of interest for price to either bounce or break. If it breaks this line, you could maybe determine that it will indeed come up to here to fill out that imbalance that we noticed there. So we'll go down to the hourly, and more or less where we are now is a point of interest. 2 points here though. 1, 2. Bounce or break. Or mainly bouncing off that line there. And we're nearly there as it is now. And other than that, you could say that this area down here is a point of interest. Kind of bouncing off that line there. So that could be a tentative sort of break. Sorry, these lines, I know some people like drawing them up with me. Got a line here on 1.16756, a line here at 1.16710, and we'll do that one 1.16615. So we'll leave it there at the moment. Put it on candles. And what can we see from the hourly? Steady trend going up. I don't really like drawing trend lines in too much because they are very subjective. But if we get below here, then perhaps we're on a downward curve again. We'll see. Going down to the 5-minute time frame, we can see lots of consolidation. There's our trend line. And we've got a buy zone here, so we'll mark these up, definitely. I don't like to put in too many lines for obvious reasons, because I don't like it to look like a map of the underground. Trading's meant to be kept as simple as possible, and you've got these lines everywhere. But I think we could say if we go below that, then we will indeed be, during the London session, perhaps we could be seeing more of a sell-off of the euro. It's a bigger, it seems more plausible. But so we'll put the indicators back on. We're back on the 1-minute time frame. So we're near enough to the buy zone now. So we'll put our MT4 on. Make sure your risk, if you're using Trade Assistant, and I recommend you do, make sure your risk to reward is in purple, showing a 2-to-1. Your lot calc is in purple, and you've got that all-important 1% risk. And I like to keep this on square on just in case I need to close all trades. You can do it other ways, but I like to, seeing as we're paying for all this, might as well use it. And I like to keep a minimum of 2.2 pips away, so I put in 22 there. And, all right, because I had that locked on like that, I want it floating. So write it in again, no problem. And then it readjusts itself. As you can see, 22, 2.2 pips away, minimum. We know we're coming into a buy zone now, and coincidentally, a buy is the next alert, buy, sell. So the next alert is a buy, and we're above the purple line, so we got a buy bias. So a buy is what we'd like to see best of all, really, because we got the buy bias. And there we go. We touched that trend line again, look. If price opens up down here, I should imagine a deeper sell will be taking place, which obviously we can act on. This is the sort of scenario we're looking at. $2.2, which is there. In anticipation of that turning from red to green. Brings our 2-to-1 at the minute all the way into the sell zone. So price gets to there, support and resistance line out or there, and we were on the buy, I'd be looking to make possibly, depending on how the volume is behaving, the candles are behaving at the time, I could be possibly looking at my stop loss to at least the entry line for a risk-free trade, hopefully getting on 2%. But we will see. Also today, I'll show you. Also today, very, very quickly, we have, let's get on the right one, Friday at 1:30 our time, UK time in the afternoon, non-farm payroll day. Now, this is when the market can move 30, 40, 50 pips or more. So stay away from that. Usually does it within like 5-10 seconds, and you can trade it, and you're not allowed to trade with FTMO anyway. Right, so we got ourselves a potential buy brewing up now. So I'll leave it there at the moment. Nice to see so many people on. An analogy that I was thinking of was the best pilots are not necessarily really super pilots, but they're the ones who kept on training. Right, so, right. All of a sudden, was I too hasty? I don't know. 3.4 pips. I'm in the trade because we had a green wave. Right. I saw that. I thought, here we go. Because it was like it's 9 minutes past 8. There's no real reason. So I didn't want to miss the push. Got a buy alert, green wave, but I appreciate all these are red. Yeah, green now, which is good, and a green trend makes me more. But we're equal distance with these highs here. I'd like to see a bit more of a push past these, hopefully going towards a 2%. 3.4, I said, didn't I? Which is there, and that was down there. That's where I am now, which pushes my 2 to 1 even, oh, a lot higher, up to there. So I've got to be super cautious when we get to here. And like I say, we are equal level with that area there. So I like to put it on the 5-minute time frame and look at the bigger picture. Hopefully we'll be getting onto these areas here. I'm going to put a line there. I'm going to put a trend line there actually, because that's not necessarily a support and resistance line, but it's an area of interest for me. And I think the price gets to that area, then I'll be thinking about going on put my stop loss to entry. But well in touch with the fact that I'm going to be facing a 1% loss now. Yeah. maybe so. We'll see. We'll see. Because I know that again, if I go onto the 5 minute, well, we did get into the buy zone, didn't we? So I'm pleased with that. That gives me a 75% chance on this trade here, even though it's looking the wrong way for us at the moment. But that also means there's a 25% chance of it not working. But I'm okay with that. I mean, if we get a 1% loss, so be it. No problem at all. And because of non-farm payroll, later on this afternoon, that sort of mucks anything after that, really. Are they reacting off the price of the non-farm payroll or not? They possibly will be. This could be a very short video, live, because unfortunately I've been taken out and we're following the course of more sideways movement. And because the market is obviously very nervy at the moment, what makes me think that I can all of a sudden get down, because it's pushing this trend line that we drew on a higher picture. I'll take that away. So what I'll do is I will reduce that and get into, bring my journal in. This is my journal that everybody on Academy 55 has access to. So it's been going quite well so far in September. I was on 5%, half of my monthly already, but as you just saw, unfortunately, got myself a 1% loss. So I copy the link, go back to my journal, place this screenshot in there, and we was on a buy. It lost. I was on EUR USD between 8 and 9 in the morning on Friday the 5th of September. And like I said, we are on -1, right? So unfortunately, we had another loss, which brings me down to 4%, which is still very good so far, seeing as we're only 5 days into the month. My percentage is 10%, my monthly target. So I'm still pleased with that. It is what it is. I'm not tempted to do any more to that, really. And also, like I said before, because of this non-farm payroll, where prices can go really, pips can go one way or the other by 40 or 50 pips, causes great imbalances, and it sends the market a bit more volatile and haywire, and it's not as well, trading is never predictable, but you've got more of an easier feel without all that volatility. So you can trade around that time, and trading after it can be tricky depending on how many pips it's gone. So I prefer to leave it and come back again next week, personally. Because the pressure has been taken right off me as a trader, because I've got such a low monthly target to achieve. And we'll put, where am I? Yeah, we'll put the indicators back on. That was very unfortunate. As you can see, price came down to, which is always a danger, to make that imbalanced candle balanced. More or less did so by going down there with the wick. So balancing that candle up, and then it continued its way. But unfortunately for us, because we had a higher stop loss here, took us out, took me out. And now we can see lots of sideways movement going on. I must tell you, I have no intentions of trading anymore at this juncture, because sideways movement more than anything, and also because it did what it did, going on a bit of a stop hunt. It's got some buy orders here. Bank said, thank you very much, we'll take those orders off you and carry on up. At the same time, we're not going to go too far away, because what we're going to be doing is encouraging other retail traders to put some more stop losses down there. And then if we don't have any orders, enough orders, what we'll do is we'll take those orders again and then carry on up. And we'll gladly take your stop losses, your equity, and use it for ourselves. And we'll just carry on like that. And from a technical point of view, I can't operate off this buy anyway, because I've already done that once. Got bitten. So I don't wish to play the game anymore. Although I can see it could very well do that. But it does. I'm not interested. The only thing I'd be interested in, if I was interested, is for price to get into the sell zone and create another sell. But because of all the action I'm seeing here, just creating more of the same, and I'm not really interested in it anymore, because I don't have the pressure on me to do so. I haven't got a wild monthly target to achieve. I'm perfectly happy. I'm going to have a great weekend. 1% loss is absolutely nothing. Because that's the beauty of the journal. Because I've got a journal, I know if I do the same strategy and behave the same ways as I have done in the past, most of the time, I'm fine. So if you don't freak out and just take things and relax, don't panic. Because if you panic, you lose your discipline, everything goes out the window, and that's how you lose accounts very, very easily. Please trust me. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt many, many times. But as I was saying, an analogy, the best pilots are the ones who put the hours, the flying hours in, keep training. If they face difficulties in their training, they don't give up, try and solve it, and keep showing up every day. Have a look at the charts, have the discipline to realize that it might not be the best day to trade. Accept a 1% loss with grace. Don't panic. And they're the ones who make the best traders, as well as the best pilots, basically. By just getting the hours in behind you, getting the experience in. And this all comes together with the fact that you're only using one commodity, in this case, the EUR USD, and you've got your points of interest that you know on the higher time frames, price reacts off these lines. So it's not a surprise to you if it does react. You've got some sort of inkling of why price does what it does. So therefore, when it does turn against you, you think, oh yeah, look, well, we've had this nervy action because wicks above and the wicks below are indecision. And there's a lot of these, even on the minute time frame that we're on. So we're recognizing that, seeing all that. We had a go, and sorry, when I say we, I remind you that all trades are for educational purposes only. I trade so you don't have to. So I'll stop using the we and more of the I. I took a trade and got a 1% loss, but it's really no big deal. And I know, because I kept my journal, that it'll all work out good in the end. Just follow the same mentality, keep your discipline, don't panic. You don't need to get another trade if you don't want to. Wait for the conditions to be more in your favor. This is not in your favor. Sideways movement. It's just not. So, but this time of day, like I always say, is the time when the markets move. So I was hedging my bets in the fact that it was going to move, and it probably will, it very well may still move, but at the same time, it came down to get this imbalance right now, creating higher lows, higher low, higher low, higher low, and then up we go, maybe. So that was a very unfortunate move from price to do that. So take it on the chin and don't worry about it. Nice to see so many people on today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw open the chat in case anybody wants to have any questions about what they've just seen. I'll keep this open for 5 minutes. And then I'm not going to let this ruin my weekend. We got high pressure moved in Cornwall, where I live. Nice day brewing up. So I'm going to go out and thoroughly enjoy the day and not worried about trying to get back my 1% loss. No, I'm not worried about that. I'm going to wait for take it nice and simple and easy. Wait for the best conditions for myself for the price. Yeah, we just got caught up of more of the same sideways stuff. Usually between 7 and 9, we do get a bit more trending, but it hasn't happened as yet. It might be later on today. It might be 9 o'clock, might be 10 o'clock. I know 10 o'clock we got some euro news. It might be that they're happy taking orders because there's no need to move too much, because what's the news going to be on the euro at 10 o'clock? They might not be able to work out whether it's going to be good or bad news for the euro just yet. So they're quite happy taking the orders fooling retail traders to put their orders down here, taking the money before making a move. So that's maybe a scenario that's happening. So we'll go through the support and resistance lines again, I think. So I'll take the indicators off. Go on to the 4-hour time frame. There's that imbalance. Put the line chart on again. Some of these were drawn up on the hourly. Actually, I think it's more the hourly, wasn't it? There we got 1 point there, 1 point there. That's why that line was there. It's drawn up there. That's nearest to the price, and that's 1.16711. Price stayed on this area here for an hour. That could have been a 4-hourly one, actually. Going back to the 4-hourly chart. All right, we've got 1 point there, look. And 1 point there. That's where the sell zone is exactly. So that's 1.16759. We've got point there, point there, and the point there within like a couple of pips. So at 1.16561. These are all areas of interest where price, as you can see, has bounced or broke, bounce, bounce, sort of thing. So let's go down to the minute again. Put the indicators back on. Like I said, I think this price is going higher because we've got a buy bias because we're above the purple. But we've also got, that's still taking orders, fooling everybody to put their stop losses here. And they go, all right, thank you, we'll take that order. Hit the stop loss, take the equity for themselves. And this could carry on for a while yet. So, like I say, I have had a go, and it didn't work out because of all this sideways stuff. I was anticipating hopefully a move, but as you can see, it didn't work out. It still might move up there, up into these areas here eventually, but not at the moment and not in my favor. So I'm okay with that. So with that being said, have yourselves a great weekend, and we'll come back strong again next week and start rebuilding again because I'm still doing very well as far as the monthly things are going. So Anna's saying thanks. Yeah, thanks for being on, and you have a good weekend as well. So with that being said, guys, thanks very much for your time, and we'll speak to you soon. Cheers for now. Bye.